Yeah, you're
Right,
ready to start,
we're excellent. Thank you, Matt. Right, we're now live streaming on YouTube, everybody. So I'm going to draw the meeting to order. First item on the agenda is for myself to explain that the meeting is being live streamed on YouTube via Zoom, and then to explain the meeting protocol in terms of using remote technology. I've been over this at the last meeting, but if people can stay in one place for the meeting, that'd be great. If you do need to make a move, then go on to no video. If you need to take a phone call, then go on to no video and mute yourself. Everybody should be muted anyway until called to speak by me. So if you're not muted, please mute yourself now. And to undertake a roll call of councillors, officers and members of the public present. So we have the Deputy Clerk, and then as part of my screen, we've got myself, Councillor Jack, Councillor Gow, Councillor Willis, Councillor Pinder, Councillor Horsley, Councillor Healy, Councillor Hopkins, Councillor Astel P, Councillor Boynton, Councillor Tucker, Councillor Wildy, and Councillor Johnson. Excellent. I remembered everybody's names. It's been too long. To receive apologies for absence. I believe everybody's here, so we don't have any apologies for absence. Declarations of interest. To record any declarations of interest by any member of the council in respect to agenda items listed below. Members declaring interest should identify the agenda item and type of interest being declared. Do I have any declarations of interest? None, thank you. And B, to note dispensations given by any member of the council in respect of the agenda items below. Okay, so without any further ado, moving on to item 4, to consider the decision of East Riding of Yorkshire Council to evict the Track Fitness and Boxing Club from the Burden Road Centre. I have several motions here, and motion 1 is that Beverley Town Council condemns the decision by East Riding of Yorkshire Council to evict the Track Fitness and Boxing Club from their current home. Do I have a proposer for that motion, please? Councillor Pinder. And a seconder for the motion, please. Councillor Healy. And anybody wish to speak on this? No, I think it's relatively straightforward. Councillor Hopkins.
I mean, really, just to say, Chair, I think all of us on this council have appreciated the great work that the boxing club has been doing for the community and how valuable they are. And I think all of us, therefore, really want to see a bright and wonderful future for the boxing club and everybody that attends it. And so I think, yeah, the decision of East Riding of Yorkshire Council to push for them to move out at a point when they don't yet have an alternative that's suitable in place is a real great shame.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Hopkins. Right, so all those in favour of the motion, please now show by raising your hand clearly. And that's unanimous. Thank you very much. Right, motion 2, that the Beverley Town Council asks the East Riding of Yorkshire Council to provide its reasoning for this decision, especially in light of the leader, Councillor Burton's recent statement to East Riding of Yorkshire Council members that the club would not be evicted without a suitable home being available. Do I have a proposer for this, please? Councillor Johnson. And a seconder for this, please? Councillor Wildy. All those in favour, please show. Okay, so I've got oh, that's everybody now. Yeah, lovely. Thank you very much.
Mr. Chair, I assume that you want me to write to the council on that, so I'll note that it's for the Deputy Town Clerk to correspond with Councillor Burton accordingly. Yes,
please. Thank you, Deputy Clerk. That's great. Motion 3, that the Beverley Town Council is of the view that the Memorial Hall is not viable or suitable site for the track, fitness and boxing club. Proposer for this, please. Councillor Jack, and a seconder, please. Councillor Hopkins. And all those in favour, please now show. And that's everybody again. Thank you very much. And motion 4, that Beverley Town Council asks that East Riding of Yorkshire Council show the necessary agility in considering all other possible venues for adult learning. Can I have a proposer for this, please? Councillor Gow, and a seconder, please. Councillor Wildey. And all those in favour of the motion, please show. Yes, that's everybody. Thank you very much. Councillor, sorry, yes, Deputy Clerk.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I will use the 4 motions to compose the letter. I'll send it to you digitally, and then if you're happy with it, Mr. Chair, I can then send it with your copy of your signature attached to it directly to the leader of East Riding of Yorkshire Council.
Fantastic. Thanks, Matt. Yeah. Councillor Healy.
Thank you, Chair. I would like also to propose a 5th motion, but before I do that, I just want to say I welcome these motions that have been put forward this evening. I think it's really important that this town council makes its position clear around this. I think we all appreciate what great work goes on at that track, fitness, boxing club, and it's not just about boxing, it's about fitness, it's about mental health, it's about engagement, and it's a real lifeline for so many members of that community. And this is something that has really engaged so many of us. It's welcome that this town council is engaged in it. As far as the East Riding Council is concerned, it's also been engaging us as ward members for quite a long time, actually, because this was first this first kind of appeared on the radar back in the autumn of 2019, when out of the blue this eviction notice came, where they were requiring the Adult Learning Centre to be made available. And at that time, the reasons weren't fully clear to elected representatives, and discussions were held with the portfolio holder at the time, and it was felt to be a hugely retrograde step. And St Mary's Ward councillors did bring a motion to the East Riding Council in October 2019, which extolled the virtues of the boxing club, but also had a very important conclusion to the motion. And that was that this council rescinds the eviction notice, which was of course set for the 31st of March 2020. So at this point it's October 2019, and they were giving them 6 months notice, 6 months to find somewhere else. And so the motion said that this should be rescinded. That motion was defeated. It was amended. And the effect of the amendment was to effectively remove the final sentence. So the final sentence, which gave the council the power to prevent the eviction, was amended by the ruling group, and was voted on unanimously by all members of the ruling group. And that is a matter of public record, because a recorded vote was taken. And that was very disappointing for us as St Mary's Ward councillors, but we are the opposition, and we had to accept the unanimous will of the Conservative group was that the eviction order should be rescinded. However, great work was was still, continuing, and ward councillors were, of all parties, were working hard to try and find solutions. Anyway, it then got into 2020, and just prior to the, bearing in mind, of course, that the eviction order was for the 31st of March 2020, so pretty much exactly a year ago, and it gets to February 2020 full council meeting, and we weren't allowed to put another motion in because of the 6-month rule. You can't ask the same motion again. So I asked a question under the procedure, Rule 8, I think it is, of the leader of the council. And I asked the leader of the council whether the eviction order would be rescinded again. And the answer to that question was, we will never see the boxing club put out of business. But it wasn't acknowledging that the order would be rescinded even then. And so it looked as though things were getting very bleak, because we were then only 6 weeks away. Then, of course, we had the pandemic and we had the lockdown, and of course that affected things. And I have to say as well that the members of the club were very vociferous and absolutely passionate about it. They came to those meetings, they came to the public gallery when we were still meeting, and they recognised the efforts that were being made by ward councillors across parties to resolve this problem. Then, of course, it all sort of ground to a halt because they weren't meeting anyway because of the pandemic. And in recent weeks, it's all come back onto the agenda because obviously things are going to open up, hopefully. But the problem still isn't resolved. And in fact, what then happened was last month, they got the letter. And we as ward councillors received a letter from officers to tell us that this, the final sort of end game was here, and that they regretted to inform us that they needed the adult learning centre, and that therefore the eviction would have to happen, and that the lease would be brought to an end. And that brought huge concerns. And I know that ward councillors in Minster and Woodmansey as well worked to put pressure on portfolio holder, to put pressure on the leader. And I mentioned in particular Councillor Nickerson did a very good job in trying to persuade them. But we all worked together, and this is quite unique, really. That we all put politics away, and put the interests of these young people and these adults who've given so much, put those things first and foremost. And I think it was an amazing example of if you apply a political pressure, what can happen. Because I think the leadership and the chief executive and officers have been knocked for six by the sheer force of argument and public passion and unity amongst councillors that this issue has brought. 2 weeks ago, we also got the MP involved, Graham Stewart, and Beverley ward councillors met with him. And I have to say, it was his view. I was quite inspired by what he said. Again, politics aside, we all have our differences, but he just wasn't going to tolerate it, and believed, that 9 ward councillors, I mean, this did include Beverley rural councillors as well, were there on a Zoom call with him, and he was effectively sort of saying, you have to listen to the ward councillors. And he said that he would be speaking to the leader, be speaking to the chief executive, and he would be doing everything he possibly could. And also on that call was Jordan, who's the leader of the track fitness group. And he was on that call as well. It wasn't quite clear to me after that meeting exactly what Graham Stewart was going to do. But I do understand these doing things. And the next thing, of course, we get a letter from the leader, which effectively say, well, what they were going to do was convene a meeting with us the week after the meeting with Graham Stewart. And the purpose of the meeting with us was for them, the council officers, to tell us how hard they worked in trying to find a solution to this. And it was clearly going to be, we'll get you all around the table and we'll just tell you that we worked really hard, but you ain't going to change anything. And some of us said, well, we're not coming to a meeting to hear it all again. We've told you that we want it sorting and resolving. We want the eviction order halting. We're not going to come to a meeting to listen to excuses. The only reason we want to come to a meeting is to hear that you are going to resolve the rescind the eviction order. And unless you're going to have that conversation with us, we're not going to come to the meeting. The next thing is the meeting was cancelled. With a letter from the leader saying that developments were in hand to resolve the problem and that they would reconvene a meeting when they had sorted it out, which was a positive sign. Now, we still haven't had a latest update from that, but I do understand from conversations I've been having today that we are very close to a resolution. Now, I can't say what that resolution is. I'm not party to these things. It's the leader and the chief executive who will come up forward with some kind of solution. But I think that even within a short period of time, and bearing in mind the eviction order is the 31st of March, which is the day after tomorrow, I think we could be about to hear something imminent. So I'm just really giving you the latest sort of update on where it is. And that just brings me to the final resolution, the final motion, really, just to sort of recognise that. And so I hope you will sort of indulge me in allowing us to put forward a fifth resolution, which I've just penned, and it says that Beverley Town Council acknowledges the part played by Beverley East Riding of Yorkshire Council ward councillors in keeping up the pressure on the council leadership to move this matter towards a resolution. So, moving the matter towards a resolution, so that we acknowledge the part played by Beverley East Riding of Yorkshire ward councillors in keeping up the pressure on the council leadership to move this matter towards a resolution. And if I may, Mr. Chair, I would like to add that as a fifth motion and would ask for a seconder.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Healy. So we've got another motion on the table, ladies and gentlemen. So I need a seconder, please, for that. Councillor Johnson, thank you. Right, I've got Councillor Pinder, please.
Yes, what I wanted to say about this meeting is I think as a town council, we should ask the deputy clerk to put out a statement on behalf of the council, because we all agreed this should be a cross-party. It seems to have drifted rather to a promotion for the Lib Dems, but never mind, we have actually voted as cross-party. But I think we should agree that they ask the Matt if he'll put out a short statement by way of a press release to say what's been voted on and to emphasise that it has been a cross-party, that it was agreed, the agreement has been unanimous and cross-party. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm sure Matt will come up with something, and if you want to ping it across, Matt, that's fine. If you want to put a quote from me in as a political chair, then you can do.
Yeah, I think the content of the letter and the contents of the press release will be very similar, just slightly tool for the different purposes.
Could I just say, as a Labour group, we're not going to be putting out our own press release, so I would ask also that that the other parties respect that, so that we keep the united front on this, please.
Yeah. Okay. Councillor Gow.
Just a question. We're into Purda now, aren't we? So how do we stand about issuing statements? It's a thorny subject, but it would be nice if we could see something, but we are actually in the purdah period. Just my observation.
Okay. Thank you, Councillor Gow. Right, I've got Councillor Johnson.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to add to that as the councillor who is elected to both St Mary's Ward East and St Mary's Ward, I feel an special responsibility towards track fitness and boxing, and I just wanted to say to everybody that all the councillors would have been there from day one had they known what was going on, and indeed as soon as we did find out that was going on, there was a unanimous feeling towards this club that does so much good in the community, as Councillor Hopkins has already articulated. So, but we have been able to work as Beverley Town councillors and as East Riding councillors in putting pressure on the council to ensure that this boxing club and the fitness side of it as well, which is so important, is maintained not only for the people of Beverley and the youngsters and the adults that go there, but also for people who attend from outside of Beverley as well, probably of a 15-mile radius. It is a unique club, and they should be supported for what they do. And all credit to the team that runs it for getting this club now properly constituted, for all the volunteers that work there, getting their qualifications in fitness, in safeguarding, for becoming associated with the Amateur Boxing Association as well. I mean, all credit to them. They have worked so hard, and they deserve their success, and they deserve our support. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Johnson. I've got Councillor Astle.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, I'd just like to come back to Margaret and say that I don't think it is a Lib Dem. It's gone towards Lib Dem tonight's meeting. I'm speaking now as somebody who lives right in the dead centre of the estate, along with Claire as well. And I do know for definite that the Conservatives are equally as concerned as what the ward members are concerned in St Mary's. And all I can say is that when Councillor Ely refers to Beverley councillors, he means that all 9 of the ward members, not just the 3 from St Mary's, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Right, I just want to wrap this up now. And Deputy Clerk, just want to comment on the point that Councillor Gow made about the purdah period. This would be a non-political thing if it came from my office. Is that correct?
Yeah. What we could do is you could either come to the mayor, or we could just say a statement from the town council to take absolutely everybody out of it. But I'll liaise with you, Mr. Mayor, on that, and also liaise with Eric as well, just to make sure that we don't breach anything either way. If we need a quote, you can use me, because it's not a political office. So yeah. So that's fine. Yeah, right, I'll be able to break it with Erlica. Okay, brilliant. Thank you. Right, so I've got the motion on the table, proposed by Councillor Healy and seconded by Councillor Johnson. I'll take this to a vote then, please. All those in favour of the motion, please show. So we've got, right, wait a minute, keep your hands up, everyone. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 for, and those against? None. So we've got 2 abstentions. Thank you. Right, okay then. That is everything on the agenda, and therefore I'm going to bring the meeting to a close.